Kou-Chan and Noroma were holding hands and walking until they were stopped by a teacher. They told Kou-Chan that he must be such a caring boy, but he told them that Noroma is just an idiot who can't do anything for herself, so he has to help her. After the teacher left, Noroma looked up at Kou-Chan and thanked him for helping her. Kou-Chan blushed slightly, as when Noroma smiled, she looked cute to him. Other than that though, she looked short and ugly to him. However, they both would eventually learn that they can't live without each other. Noroma became a tall girl with a deep voice, and she knew that Kou-Chan couldn't live without her. As she grew, every area increased, and everyone noticed her large legs. Sometime in the future, the pair met up once again, and Noroma had a glow-up. Beaming with happiness, she greeted Kou-Chan. Kou-Chan was surprised but returned the greeting, before questioning in his mind if the guy next to her was her boyfriend. Kou-Chan couldn't say anything else as he began to choke up, tears welling in his eyes. He realized how handsome the guy who Noroma was with was, and cursed himself that he lost her. Meanwhile, Noroma was lapping up the misery that Kou-Chan showed, finding it adorable that he was about to cry. What Kou-Chan didn't know was that the guy was Noroma's relative. He questioned if it was okay that Kou-Chan misunderstood their relationship, but Noroma said it was fine, salivating from seeing the suffering and sadness in Kou-Chan's face. Kou-Chan used to tease Noroma about her height, commenting that she was 7 inches smaller than him. However, in middle school, he was frustrated that Noroma was now the same size as him, and he could no longer tease her about it. However, as adults, Kou-Chan had a height complex and was miserable anytime Noroma was around, as she was a clear head taller than him. Seeing Kou-Chan's suffering due to her growth got Noroma hot and bothered. Cutting back to high school, Kou-Chan insulted Noroma, saying that she's useless without him. Noroma just took it and gave an apology, the words bouncing off her like water off a duck's back. Kou-Chan had a superiority complex towards Noroma, saying that she hadn't really changed. Everything was the same except that she'd gotten taller. He comforted himself in the knowledge that she has no one else but him. However, Kou-Chan then noticed a boy talking to Noroma and questioned who he was, panic beginning to set in. Noroma told the boy that she had to reject him because she had Kou-Chan in her life. Hearing that, the boy snapped, asking what's good about Kou-Chan and that he's terrible to her. As the boy went in to preach his qualities, Noroma cut him off, saying that his nastiness is what she liked about him, what she liked about Kou-Chan. Noroma admitted that Kou-Chan was a selfish jerk, who makes himself feel above others by putting them down. He considers Noroma to be his possession, but he was a pathetic person, and she found that adorable and irresistible. She said that that's how he is, but he can't live without her. After Noroma had made her own confession to the boy, he was left standing there clueless. However, Kou-Chan was looking on from around the corner, nervously staring on, curious as to what was happening with Noroma. He couldn't hear what was being said, and it was gutting him slowly. As the panic set in further, he couldn't believe that Noroma was being confessed to. Trying to soothe himself, he mentally belittled Noroma, saying that no one could see her as a woman. However, since he was lost in his own mind, he didn't notice Noroma approaching, and once she greeted him, he almost jumped out of his skin from fright. His defensiveness caused Noroma to be curious, and she questioned why he was here and if he needed something. He hesitated at first, but eventually, he asked what Noroma was saying while she was talking to the other boy. Kou-Chan then decided to try and put Noroma down, saying that if the boy was really confessing to her, then he was a loser. Stunning Kou-Chan, Noroma coldly replied that even if that was the truth, why would she have to tell him? Luckily for the weight on Kou-Chan's heart, Noroma explained that it was just a classmate, nothing more. The relief was evident on Kou-Chan's face. Returning to his smug stride, Kou-Chan questioned rhetorically about who would actually date Noroma, but he questioned why he was saying these things. However, he didn't see that Noroma was blushing and breathing heavily, as she thought that she loved this rough tsundere side of him as much as she loved his miserable expressions. One day, Noroma greeted Kou-Chan with her warmest, brightest smile, with the rosiest cheeks, her glistening visage blinding anyone who could see her. The mere sight of her stirred something within Kou-Chan, and his possessiveness took over. He told Noroma that she shouldn't show that face to anyone else. Noroma was confused and asked Kou-Chan why. Kou-Chan then began to lie. He told her it's because everyone knows that she's ugly, and she should know it, so she shouldn't get so smug about it. The words seemed to have struck something within her, and she didn't respond. Trying to hide the fact that he liked her, Kou-Chan told her that he's the only one who can tolerate her face. As Kou-Chan began to walk away smugly, Noroma said Kou-Chan's name quietly. As Kou-Chan tried to figure out the feeling in his chest, he admitted to himself that he doesn't want anyone else to see Noroma's cuteness, just him and him alone. Meanwhile, Noroma realized that she had a twisted love and affection towards Kou-Chan, but she just can't control herself. Walking to school, Noroma called out to Kou-Chan before rushing up to him and embracing his arm. Kou-Chan noticed that Noroma's chest was pressing tightly against his arm, and he freaked out. Kou-Chan yelled at Noroma to let go and that she's being childish for doing so. Noroma, acting very lax, let go and said that she understood. That night, Kou-Chan recalled the earlier event and realized how well endowed Noroma was, and questioned how someone so stupid could be so blessed. Unfortunately, he got too excited by the memory and had an accident. The next day, Noroma greeted Kou-Chan minus the arm grapple. However, Kou-Chan barely greeted her, his eyes not able to meet hers and barely able to form any words, all due to the embarrassment from the night before. Noroma quickly put two and two together and began to blush at Kou-Chan's misery. Kou-Chan eventually was able to find a girlfriend and instantly went to Noroma to brag. He told her that he can't walk home with her anymore, so she needs to learn to be independent. Noroma had no opinion about Kou-Chan's smugness, so she just told him that she'll do as he says. Kou-Chan then began to walk with his new girlfriend, thinking about how she was better than Noroma, sounded better than her, looked better than her, and when he saw Noroma through the window, he began to talk about her to his girlfriend, after ignoring everything his girlfriend had said as they walked. As Noroma walked home, someone hit her in the back. Turning to look, she saw it was Kou-Chan and commented that she was surprised to see him. He didn't respond to her words, but after a moment of silence, he let her know that he'll be walking home with her again from now on. Noroma questioned if Kou-Chan wasn't going to walk home with his girlfriend. However, Kou-Chan yelled that he just told her that he's going to walk home now. Calming slightly, Kou-Chan confessed that he broke up with his girlfriend, so who cares about her? Kou-Chan then thought about why the girl dumped him, with her saying that she felt unloved since he only talked about Noroma. He questioned what was wrong with him while smack-talking her. As he was almost crying, Noroma was blushing once again, as she loved how he was so pathetic, and that no matter what he does to leave Noroma, he always comes crawling back to her. They were inseparable, come hell or high water, and for Kou-Chan, it was closer to the former rather than the latter. Noroma became a tall girl with a deep voice, and she knew that Kou-Chan couldn't live without her. As she grew, every area increased, and everyone noticed her large legs. Kou-Chan used to tease Noroma about her height, commenting that she was 7 inches smaller than him. However, in middle school, he was frustrated that Noroma was now the same size as him, and he could no longer tease her about it. However, as adults, Kou-Chan had a height complex and was miserable anytime Noroma was around, as she was a clear head taller than him. Seeing Kou-Chan suffering due to her growth got Noroma hot and bothered. Sitting in class, Kou-Chan saw that Noroma was being helped by another student. Noticing her smile, Kou-Chan had an idea. As they went to leave the classroom, Kou-Chan grabbed Noroma's bag and offered to carry it. Trying to look cool, he said that it must be heavy for her, but noticing that he didn't get a response, he turned to look at her. Kou-Chan expected a smile, a thank you, but what he got was a menacing glare with a reluctant thank you spat at him, stunning him. Pissed off, he threw the bag back at her, telling her to know her place while saying that he was only trying to be nice to her, with Noroma now being the surprised one. As Kou-Chan also flung insults at Noroma, a smile and a blush formed on her face, and a thank you left her lips. As Kou-Chan left confused, Noroma could feel her heart racing, as she had grown to love this side of him. The twisted feelings began when they were kids, with Kou-Chan insulting Noroma whenever he was with her, claiming that she's useless without him. During their teens, she heard how he saw her, how she was worthless and pathetic, but it was all a ruse to keep others away, as he actually saw her as beautiful, but his own issues caused him to put her down, to try keep her as his own. But now, as adults, he felt as pathetic as he really was. He continues to throw hollow insults at Noroma, but they only excite her, causing his living shame to follow him for all his days, so close yet still out of his reach. Noroma's feelings began to truly strengthen for Kou-Chan during one incident as kids. The girls Noroma hung around were bashing her verbally, as they considered her to be a walking nuisance. Noroma cried and cried, apologizing for annoying the girls, but she was cut off by another voice yelling for all of their attentions. It turned out to be Kou-Chan, shoving Noroma behind him in a protective manner, leaving the other girls frozen in shock. The girls voiced their surprise by asking why Kou-Chan was defending Noroma since he was her biggest bully. Kou-Chan could only yell back that he is the only one allowed to make her cry, following it up with that he's also the only one who's allowed to see her cry. The girls yelled about how illogical his words were before just leaving the pair alone. As Noroma called out to Kou-Chan, he just yelled at her to come along with him. Trying to hide the blush on his face, Kou-Chan told her to never show her crying face to anyone else but him. With a sweet, blushing yet teary expression, Noroma thanked Kou-Chan for his help. One day in school, Noroma was called out to by two boys that Kou-Chan knew. They called her slowpoke and recognized her as the girl that he teased regularly. They commented that they'd never heard her voice before, so they wanted her to speak, almost forcing her to do so. But when she did, they complained that she was too quiet, causing the nervous mess of Noroma to apologize. As one of the boys remarked that she was pathetic, a hand grabbed onto his shoulder. The boy noticed it was Kou-Chan and went to greet him, but he demanded that the boys stop insulting Noroma. The friend questioned why he should, since Kou-Chan calls her slow regularly, and he's acting seriously offended right now. Kou-Chan was reluctant to announce the reason why, but the answer was behind him, gushing over him and making loving eyes at the back of Kou-Chan's head. Rightfully freaked out, the boys fled with an apology, questioning their relationship the whole time. Meanwhile, Kou-Chan didn't realize what Noroma looked like behind him and how red, hot and bothered she had become over his protectiveness. On a casual day, Noroma was dressed up rather sloppy, with her hair in a tangled mess and her mood as low as her effort. Her cousin encouraged her to dress nicely since he knew that people consider her to be cute when she does so, but Noroma didn't care. However, on a different day, her cousin was shocked as he saw Noroma dressed up beautifully and had everything done up to the nines. He complimented her, and Noroma, with a proud attitude, thanked him. While out on the street, Noroma's cousin asked why she was suddenly dressed up all nice, but was interrupted by Kou-Chan, who was passing through the area. Faking surprise, Noroma greeted him and told him that it was such a coincidence that they met. The cousin then realized what was going on and found it cute. However, that image was shattered as Kou-Chan began to call Noroma a fatty and that she was in an embarrassing outfit. With his confidence breaking, he asked if the guy beside her was her boyfriend. All the while he was thinking that she was a pervert for dressing so cute, especially for her boyfriend and not for him. Noroma didn't answer him directly, only saying that this guy is taking her out for food while clutching onto her cousin's arm. With a blushing face and a teasing expression, Noroma thought to herself that Kou-Chan looks adorable when he's jealous. Noroma's cousin questioned life itself as he didn't understand how kids flirt and date nowadays. While he had an internal crisis, Kou-Chan continued to stare at Noroma's chest and called her a fat fatty, while she continued to tease Kou-Chan and blush at his reactions.